Hello, my name is Joshua Ryan, here to give a video presentation for the analysis paper. Alright, let's begin. Alright, of all the industries in the world, there are few as loved and lucrative as the film industry. Now, you got so many options. You got yourselves, you got TV, streaming, big feature movies, blockbusters. But then, the one that's not thought of too often is short films. Short films is going to be the focus of this presentation, and while it might not be considered a movie, it is in the film industry. It's not considered like a feature length. It is considered a film, so we shall treat it as such, but it's in its own genre. So for this paper, we will be looking at what a short film is, the history of short films, where they are right now, how they're distributed, and their role in a blockbuster field industry. Alright, let's get started. First off, what is a short film? That seems pretty self-explanatory, but it's important that we take a second and explain. A short film is a film that's about 40 minutes or less. You got your classic feature films, which are about usually an hour and a half to 2 hours. A short film is traditionally 40 minutes or less, oftentimes 10 minutes or less. If you look at it, it's kind of interesting. You'll see different patterns. Live action films tend to be more between 20 and 40 minutes long, whereas animated films often are less than 10 minutes. Now, short films are usually independent film companies, such as indie film companies, or just a guy like me just trying to have fun or get experience while making a short film. But there are some others, like we'll look at an example later, of short films made by big industries and that often get attention. They can be of any genre, romance, action, suspense, comedy, anything like that you want. So now we know what a short film is. Let's take a look at the history of short films. Now, back in the day, you've all heard this, I'm sure, movies didn't have sound. That was the thing known as the silent film. Now, the silent film, it didn't go on for hours. The silent film, the first films ever made were the original short film. So the original movie was the short film. So the foundation of the entire movie industry was, you guessed it, the short film. They've been around as long as the film industry has been alive. Back in the day, they were called one-reelers. It was like a 10 to 12 minutes long, and it was just a short thing. People loved it. But then talking movies came in, and that started to push the short film out. As soon as they were called talking pictures, as soon as talking pictures came in, short films were kind of booted out, and we started, things like The Jazz Singer was the first talking film. That was over an hour and about 20 minutes. So immediately, short films were out of the picture. Until eventually, as we were going, people eventually would kind of throw in a short film here and there, such as Laurel and Hardy. They had a short film that was called The Music Box that people appreciated, just because of the comedy. But then there was something called The Red Balloon, which became a critically acclaimed film. And Sign Montage says it is the only short film to win an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, and also won short film Palme d'Or at the 1956 Cannes Film Festival. So short films have had a thing or two to say throughout history, but for the most part have been relatively silent for the 1900s. When you get to the end of the 1900s, you start to see things change a little bit, right? You've all seen Pixar movies. Pixar movies are great. One notable aspect of Pixar movies is that they have a short film at the beginning of each movie. Now, these short films are meant to charm and just entertain the audience, and they do so amazingly. It's one of the things that separates Pixar from the rest of the competition. I think the best guess is Pixar is what started to bring short films back. Throughout, like The Red Balloon and The Music Box, those were things that kind of got recognition here and there. But Pixar, when you think of short film, you think of Pixar. Now, there have been some great films like Jerry's Game, For the Birds, Day and Night. These are all Pixar films that have entertained audiences for years. They've been the beginning of individual Pixar feature films. But for the most part, as far as animated short films go, Pixar is the only one to even try to try and succeed until The Paperman came out. The Paperman was an animated short film about a man and his quest to meet this girl that he saw, and basically it's just about how a paper airplane guides him to love. But it's charming, and it's really just became acclaimed by everyone. It's won the Oscar for Best Animated Short Film, and it truly is just an example of what a short film should be. Short films are meant to be short, to tell a story in that limited amount of time. They're meant to make you feel, to make you laugh, cry, all these things. And The Paperman did just that. So now we've looked at a brief history of a short film. Let's go ahead and take a look at the overall where we are now. We're going to take a look at where we are now with short films. The thing about short films is aspiring filmmakers like myself, I can't afford to make an hour-long feature film or an hour and a half long. If I did, it would probably be terrible. What I can do is I can make a short film. But how can I make it so people can see my stuff? Well, that's where YouTube comes in. YouTube is probably the most prominent platform for short films today. They're a way for filmmakers like me, or people way more experienced than me, to be able to create and make short films. YouTube channels such as Quarter Digital, Rocket Jump, and Bat in the Sun are all YouTube channels that make and create short films for a living. Quarter Digital, that goes around, they make fan films and they make original ideas. But then let's talk about Film Riot. Film Riot is a YouTube channel that makes tutorials while making the short film. So they make the short film and then they present tutorial how to make that short film. Their goal is to demystify, the Hollywood, the idea of making films. They're making it easier for people like me to get into the industry. Now, let's continue on. Let's talk about how they are distributed. We already talked a little bit about YouTube. So YouTube is probably the main way the short films are distributed because it's free, it's easy, and people can make money off of it. Other areas are Pixar. They're distributed by putting their short film at the beginning of a feature film, which means audiences, anyone who comes to see the feature film, will see the short film, which is brilliant. However, I can't afford to put my short film in front of a feature film. So, YouTube will probably be my main one, but as well, there are opportunities to streamline your streaming service to attach to audiences who are most likely to watch your short film. If your film, as Premium Beat says, if your film fits into a specific genre, you might want to explore niche streaming sites as a way to deliver your content directly to its most likely fans. Alright, so we're getting to the end here. Let's look at the role that short films have in this blockbuster-filled world, right? So, we all have seen the movies like The Avengers, Lord of the Rings, all these movies that are these huge movies. Why are these short films, how are they going to move forward? What's their role? Obviously, you're not going to pay $12 to go watch a short film or $10 to get a DVD, but they have their place on platforms like YouTube and before movies to charm, entertain, and move audiences. Just today, while I was writing a paper, I took a break, watched a short film, a 6-minute short film, and it inspired me, and I just kept on going. So short films have their place to stop the audience, let them just take a break, just a short break, enjoy a good story, and then move on. Now, I could go on a lot about the importance of a short film, but it really comes down to this, is that we need to give everything to God. 1 Corinthians says, whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. So that's kind of the main idea as a filmmaker while I'm making these short films, is to give it all to the glory of God. So all these short films that have happened point to God, that I'm hoping to, and have a great day.